Are you doing double duty tonight?
Meaning to bring over and I don't.
Oh, you will?
Yep.
I could ask everybody to join me. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome all of you to the Board of Supervisors business meeting for Monday, February 27th. Under chair comments, the board met in executive session prior to the meeting to discuss personnel. We didn't get the land acquisition or litigation at this point. Next item we have are action items. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of Board of Supervisors for January 23rd and the business meeting on February 6th?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
Any adjustments or amendments necessary? All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
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 Next item I have is motion to approve the schedule of bills dated February 10th, 2023 in the amount of $703,717.61 and authorize the township manager to pay all bills per the attachment. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
For a second?
I'll second.
Sorry.
I have a point for discussion on the bills.
Okay,
On the bills list is a check payable to myself for $50 medical reimbursement. I received that check prior to the last meeting. And after the meeting, I returned that check to Mr. West because I did not put in for that check. I don't know why it was written to me, but it needs to be deducted from the list of bills because it was turned back into the township.
have you taken care of that check?
We have. Yep.
Okay. So it will be deducted from the overall total.
$50.
Do we want to
So
amend the motion?
would that be easiest to probably just strike it? And then cancel it because it hasn't been processed?
I mean, you've covered it here now in a public meeting with plenty of explanation.
Yeah.
That's just fine.
Okay, so no amending the motion, we just,
You know,
Okay.
it's been explained and you're gonna handle it administratively, as long as there's a public record of why it's being done, you're fine.
We have a motion and a second with the adjustment that they're going to put through. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item be motion to approve the consent agenda dated February 27th per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Your second.
Second.
Any discussion on those?
I have a question. And this actually comes about as part of our PSA conversation. Does the board need to approve the SFPs or the SFOs, sorry, as part of a consent agenda, or is that truly a administrative function?
It's my understanding that you've always done it as part of your practice. I think that's why they're listed there.
But we did with the PSAs as well, and we've taken the PSAs out of that. So I was just curious as to,
These ones require board signature.
oh, these do, okay,
Which is why we kept them in there, whereas the PSA. does
Okay.
not.
There's not.
okay. Very good.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is motion to approve Kind Like Joey 5K at North Branch Park for the attachments. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that?
I do.
Yes.
Sorry, I got a lot this evening. Hi, how are you this evening? These are our two representatives from Kind Like Joy. Quick question for you. Is the township charging you a facility fee for use of North Branch for the day? I would, considering the organization, do you want to tell the board what your organization is and does, or does the board know about Kind Like Joey?
Understand. I
I
understand.
understand.
Okay, would the board, I would propose to amend the motion to waive the fee for use of North Branch Park that day. There's also a fee attached in terms of the porta potties, extra cleaning and whatnot. I think that would possibly be something up for discussion. I hate to see a worthwhile endeavor like Joey, when they're trying to raise monies as part of a nonprofit to be paying added fees, when they're using a township facility for a young man that lost his life, so.
I understand. I understand. What are we approving in this resolution tonight, though?
For them to use the park and as the exhibits show, they're paying a fee for extra cleaning of the porta potties and obviously they're also paying a fee for the use of the park for the day.
There was a $100 application fee, which starts it, and then there was the $125 recommended extra additional fee for additional bathroom cleaning. If the board so chooses, you can waive both of those fees and we would issue a refund of that $100.
Is there a motion to amend it to waive those fees?
I'll make that motion.
I mean, I'll second that. I think Mary Beth has a question though.
No, we'll get to it later on in the agenda. So
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a motion second. We're gonna amend the fees. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Yes.
Just to be clear, Mr. Hood, was that a motion to amend and approve, or was that just a motion to amend?
Oh, I don't know. I was,
To amend and approve.
Very well,
okay,
that's-
yeah, I was going by what Bill said, so.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I heard it right. I didn't hear the approved part.
Gotcha.
Okay. Next item is a motion to approve Lenape Valley Baseball Tournament at North Branch Park. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
second,
Questions or comments?
I sense Mary Beth has questions on this one.
well, I'm just saying that it may be seen that we're treating different people differently, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, we do have the representative from Lenape Valley Baseball, if you'd like to hear from him, because this is a new tournament for the year, why he's having it, and because he did present to Park and Rec last week.
I'm familiar with tournaments. I just do people pay a fee to participate?
They do. Each team pays a registration fee, and all the funds are going together to fund our Cooperstown team, our 12U team, to go to Cooperstown, New York, and participate in the Cooperstown event.
And how much does it cost for the team to go to Cooperstown?
Approximately $30,000 per set.
Yes.
It's a full week-long, completely submersive event where they participate against 100 different teams from throughout the country. They live on site as a team with their coaches in a barracks, and they get to just live the life of a Major League Baseball player and meet other teams from around the country. It's a really unique and incredible experience.
I have no further questions or comments.
Well, I was going to ask the only other question. Do they have the same sort of fees? $100 for the
Yes.
field and $125 for the porta potties?
Per weekend,
Per
per,
weekend,
yeah,
yeah.
for
Is it per
the
day
porta
or per
potties.
weekend?
Per weekend.
So it's,
Porta potties, 125
Oh, there's 2 weekends. Yeah.
Yeah.
For each weekend. It was one application for both weekends. 100.
So I mean, I would entertain it with discussion. My only thing is I think that there is a different in level of use that we're going to see between the two events.
And that would, I don't want to be uncharitable. But as I said, there may be questions as we're treating different people, but I do agree having all of those baseball people around.
Sure.
And there is a cost to clean the porta potties and provide them, so I don't have a problem. I just brought it up.
There may or may not be local businesses that you might be willing to help out too if they,
Yeah, we have looked into getting some sponsors to help fund some of the additional costs, so we can continue to pursue that.
Very good.
and games will be scheduled around the township I can't,
Yes,
Yes.
the schedule's on there.
but
Yeah.
My old eyes couldn't see the one thing and I thought they were still using a field. And I said to Matt, I said, how can they do that? And he's like, no, I think it's you. And it was me.
We've also done 2 different schedules for the second weekend around the possibility of it being rained and the egg hunt being pushed back, so. we've allowed it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So no further discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a motion to approve the construction of a new batting cage at North Branch Park by Lenape Valley Baseball for the attachment.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Discussion on that item?
I wish we would have taken a picture of the existing one
Oh,
to show what it looks like, as I walk by it every day. I didn't realize that until, no, I was like, oh, we should have put a picture of what.
we don't want to advertise that.
No, we don't want to advertise.
Just to say,
It's, let's just say it's had many years of good use.
It's seen better
beyond
days.
its useful life.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Next item would be a motion to approve the purchase of new lockers for the police department for the attachment. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion?
This was discussed with the board at the work session meeting at the beginning of this month, and nothing has changed since Chief Clouser has presented the details.
Gotten any cheaper?
We'll check.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't want it really costs money. Motion to approve the purchase and upfitting of a new police vehicle. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
second,
Any discussion?
Again, this was discussed with the board at the work session. And this was the steal Chief's thunder, but this is the hybrid SUV that was on order that we were hopefully getting last year that we never got. And Chief and I worked on magic and never canceled that order and hoping that we would get it, because we knew we had one in the capital improvement plan, hoping that one would come up, and one did.
Pretty good.
Hopefully,
Actually, this costs less than the lockers. What?
yes. I was gonna say, I don't know what Bill's talking about.
Add it all together though.
Yeah.
The vehicle in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
For the motion second, all those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Next item, motion to approve facility assessment proposal from Kimmel Bogret. And this is a,
All right.
Spending a lot of money tonight.
yeah, what can I say? And this is a proposal that they are gonna be putting together to look at possible redesign or modification of the police department downstairs. So is there a motion to approve the master concept assessment?
Make that motion.
For a second,
second. Sorry, go ahead.
any further discussion?
Second.
No, I'm interested to see what they say and hopefully they can find a way to build on to what we have and
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I just want to add that I appreciate that, after some concern was raised after the last meeting about their presentation focusing mostly on new buildings, that they were able to provide some examples of renovations and redesigns that they had done of existing buildings.
It was definitely help.
Was there an indication or is there performance standards in terms of how long this will take?
Yes, they have it in the timeline where they have benchmarks through that process. And I'm thinking it's gonna less than 6 months is
Yeah,
okay.
what. comes
They're going
to mind.
through a couple phases, so they do the initial phase. I'm not sure when they'll start that, but once we do this, then we'll.
And I think there would be, as I was thinking about this today, I think there would be a good opportunity for 2 board members to be involved in any of those meetings with the consultants. Also, I think there should be some good interactions, and just so you are all involved in it as well. I don't know what that looks like yet, but
Right.
I think there will be some touch points for you all.
I have ideas already about the windows down in the police department and how those could be absorbed into another addition.
We have a motion second for the proposal. Is any other further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve purchase of new carpet for the administrative offices. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion?
This is the next phase that we need for the office, the admin office redo. This is the last missing piece, and we're hoping that the ballet, I'll call it, of carpet installation and furniture creation will happen within a week of each other. So we're looking at the April 18th for install of carpet and for that whole week. And then install of furniture on starting on the 24th. And get interesting and moving offices and everybody be moving and the carpet layers will be chasing us around. So.
So we have a motion and a second for the new carpet. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. Motion to approve resolution 2023-08. 2023 fee schedule amendment number 1. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this?
There is a rather extensive memo included in the meeting packet. I'm not going to go through it at line by line. What we decided from a staff level after a couple of internal staff meetings with the solicitor and engineer. There are additional updates that can be made, but that's going to take some additional time, and we didn't want to hold up the fee schedule being passed at this time. So we really focused in on those things that we think are the most mission critical, and we'll continue every year as this process goes in preparation for the annual fee schedule. Staff will be putting eyes on it to not have to have an amendment, and we'll have those updates as part of that annual review and pass.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Next item, motion to appoint a new representative to Chalfont New Britain Township Joint Sewer Authority. Is there a motion to appoint Michael Sullivan to the Chalfont New Britain Township Joint Sewer Authority?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
I'm trying to find it. It's-
Yeah. It's a long way down.
Yeah, it's very long.
Long way down. We did have a meeting with Michael, and he has many years of experience working in sewer systems. So I think the board is very comfortable with having him go on to our Chalfont New Britain Sewer Authority Board. So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Welcome, Mr. Sullivan.
Next item, motion to approve road names for 84 Schoolhouse Road Land Development Project. Is there a motion to approve?
Well, I think we have to
Decide
choose
what
a
to
name.
name.
Yes,
That'd be good.
so
We
we
have
have
to
3
choose a name?
contenders.
oh,
They gave three
Right.
names with the number 1 being their priority or their preference. So I think that's one.
Lauren Diamond or
Crystal.
Crystal.
The ordinance doesn't allow you to pick,
Well, then why am I given 3 choices?
because it says that's the order of preference in case the fire marshal rejected it.
Ah,
Okay, all right.
Just by
Thank you, Craig.
common,
Well, yes.
No rural township, you don't have that problem, so.
so
Alright, so-
should I amend, should I make a motion to amend the motion to approve the name Lauren Lane for 84 Schoolhouse Road Land Development Project for the attachment?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, so you're amending that motion.
Mhm.
And do I have a second to that amendment?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Just for the record, that was half tongue in cheek, so they just really do have an objection. They're okay, but the orders just say they're supposed to list one, the fire marshals review it, but what happens is usually 5 out of 10 times it gets rejected, so usually now applicants give multiple ones, we just go down the list, so. But the fire marshal did, okay, that on February 22nd.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve Lauren Lane.
Now, you have a motion, a second to amend
Amend.
the motion to approve. To
Lauren.
specifically say
Yeah.
Lauren Lane. So once this is approved, you still need another motion to approve the road name.
Okay, fine.
It's all in the wording.
So is there approval then to amend the motion to have Lauren Lane as the appointed name?
Aye.
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 Now, is there a motion to approve the road name of Lauren Lane for 84 Schoolhouse Land Development?
I make that motion.
For
I'll
a
second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Technicality. Motion to authorize advertisement of ordinance 2023-0201, update chapter 16, part 1 of the Code of Ordinances, reference our park and recreation of New Britain Township.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, yeah, I'll say, I don't know, whatever.
Who speaks?
Yeah, that was a second.
Yeah, it was a second.
For the board's discussion purposes, we have drafted a draft ordinance, as you've seen. One of the things that needs to be discussed is the specifics of section 102 of that draft ordinance, which would appoint or decide the number of members of the Parks and Recreation Board and the term of years each member would serve upon appointment to that board. So to fully flesh out the ordinance, we need to fill that in. In the alternative, you could also theoretically state that it would be done by resolution of the board and not actually contained in the ordinance, but I have it currently drafted to be in the ordinance if that's what you choose to do.
Let's leave it in the ordinance rather than go back and put this off further.
Although we need to come to a decision as to what we want in there.
Yes.
How many members do you want on the board?
Five
I thought we'd agree on 5.
Yeah.
All right, so the
instead of what we usually is 7,
Seven.
right? So 5.
And what is the length of term? I think now they're 3 years,
Now it's 5 years.
5 years? Wow.
So do we
What
want
the
to do
appointment
3 or
was.
3 or 4.
Steph, what do you think?
Do you want them staggered?
Well, they already
Well,
have to
that's
be
already
staggered.
covered, I think,
Yeah.
in the ordinance that they will be.
I
I
would
think
say stagger it every 3 years.
3 years is, I think, appropriate.
Okay,
Mhm.
so do we have to do that whole amending and then blah, 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 or?
Well, hang on.
No.
All you have to do is take the motion to advertise it with the changes that have been
Okay.
discussed and approved tonight.
Okey doke.
Okay, I have another question about the
Yes.
ordinance.
Okay.
In section 102, it says members must be electors of New Britain Township. I'd like to say that must be residents of New Britain Township.
All right. That's up to the board. The reason why I chose electors specifically is because electors eliminates the need of the ordinance to make multiple definitions. How do you define resident? Do you want people that are under the age of 18? Do you want people that may have a criminal record for felony convictions? If you use electors, you've already decided all of that because an elector must already qualify by being over the age of 18, not having that record, and must have established residency in the township for a certain period of time before they could be an elector of the township. That's why we use it that way.
But to me, when you say electors, they must be registered to vote.
Yes, that's true.
But that is not in any other, we do not say that for any of our other boards.
But like I
So
said,
to me, that makes it,
I gather there's a growing unhappiness, and we don't need to go into this further with the current political milieu. Some people are dropping out of voting, some people are dropping out of registering. Do we want to restrict it to only those people who care enough to vote versus those who are?
No, we're
Don't.
not saying actually, but we're saying be registered. to vote.
Yeah.
There's a distinction there.
Meaning that they have by
Well, then
registering.
define resident.
then we need to define resident for our whole ordinances, because I'm sure that's the way it's been written in all of our other planning commission, all those things. So to me, if we define it here, I just think we need to be consistent, and then we should define resident. So we've had people on our boards that have not been residents.
True.
That's true.
So then that person would have been an elector as well. So I do not think we should exclude people from wanting to serve their township if they do not want to vote. I do not think we should be making that distinction. If
Well-
you're a resident, you have the want to serve your township, then you should be able to do that.
I think if all of our other ordinances say resident, then
I don't-
either we have to change all the other ordinances or we just
I
use
don't know that all
resident.
of our other ordinances say resident, because I know that there have been non-residents that have served on some of the boards in the township.
Hmm.
Only one I know of is Park and Rec.
That's the only one I know of.
Veterans, I know had at one point a non-resident. I don't think she's on it anymore, but
What does the ordinance creating the planning commission say?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Call the bus.
I did notice that word that was a little different than what had been, I think, in before.
So
But
when in full disclosure, when I circulated the draft, I chose electors for the reasons I just discussed, not because anybody told me to do so.
right,
And Matt also brought it up. He said, why wouldn't you use residents? And I explained, I gave the explanation to Matt that I gave to the board tonight. And we decided to leave it in for you guys to discuss.
okay.
Thoughts?
Well, we need to define what a resident is.
yeah, I think if we're gonna use the word resident, we need to define that word, and I don't know that we can do that now with this in front of us.
Yeah, but we could do that by resolution.
Did you find planning commission?
Yep.
It doesn't define resident.
Doesn't,
It
but
says
says
But it
members.
resident.
uses resident,
No.
members,
What does it
Members.
say?
doesn't say resident or electors.
Nope.
It'd be composed of 7 members, appointed 7 members,
7 members.
Yep.
appointed.
Well, I think we should have some sort of uniformity in all of the ordinances for that would make it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we only have, well, we have. We don't even have language creating the veterans. So. You know, this is actually the. Start.
I think
The
that-
genesis, as it
Veterans
was,
Committee, and then there's the Park and Rec Board, and then there's the Planning Commission.
right?
So, I mean, those are actual items that are listed.
What
in-
about zoning hearing board?
Right.
Does our zoning hearing board ordinance define? Or use the term members, residents, electors?
I mean, I'm okay with just changing it to resident and then but I think we do need to define resident at some point.
Okay, how about members and
Doesn't
then
need
by
to be now, tonight,
resolution?
no.
If we use members and then we do a resolution defining.
I think it's clear, I mean,
you
given the
would
fact that
say
you just
Resident,
we already discussed that the ordinance should have the amount of members actually in it rather than setting it by resolution. I think it's also.
Yeah.
To be consistent, it should be set in the ordinance. So section 102 can be changed to say that members shall be. Over the age of X and have been residents of the township for at least X months or years or whatever you choose it to be. That's, if you want to do it that way, it can be read that way.
Why don't we use the word resident in the ordinance?
Mhm.
And then we're going to do
Fine.
other definitions at some point going forward. But we'll be doing that by resolution.
If that's what the board chooses, that's fine.
Sorry, does that
Good,
sound
okay.
good?
yeah, that's fine.
Do you have any junior members of any?
Hello?
Not anymore, we used to.
Because I thought so, and other townships have that currently. And maybe if that's the time you define that as well.
And because that worked very well for a number of years, having junior members on there.
Other townships have that. Planning commission.
One board member that hasn't responded.
No, I'm just thinking, you know, I hear what Sean's telling us, you know, and I know we don't want to go down. We don't want to have a super long conversation about it tonight, but
And if we have junior members, they're probably not going to be electors, so.
Right. Presumably they wouldn't be.
Yeah, so if we stay consistent with members and then define what a member is, and then we can have a
Wait, I
subset
thought we
of,
said
You mean resident?
resident.
A
Must be a resident.
but then we could also say a junior resident and have a subset of resident as a junior resident in
Right.
the future if we want to add more people back. So
Okay,
add consistency to our ordinances.
let's use resident. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Not to confuse matters more, but I did a quick search on our codes
Mhm.
and put in resident, and the only definition for resident that pops up is in chapter 13, licenses, permits, and general business regulations, cable communications, definitions, resident. Wait for this one. Any person residing in the township as otherwise defined by applicable law. So that's the only definition of resident that I'm finding in our current code. It references resident all throughout the code, but it doesn't define it.
Put that on the list to do.
Yes.
Under
Agreed.
chapter 1, part 3, under boards, commissions and committees, have a definition for member slash resident slash whatever of a board
Again,
commission.
just suggested language, whatever the board wants to do is fine with me. So just to summarize the changes to the draft to make sure that everyone is in accordance with this before you take up a vote to approve the advertisement of it. Section 102, we would add that it would be 5 members who shall each serve for a term of 3 years. And lower in that same paragraph, it would read that members must be residents of New Britain Township.
And I have another one.
Yes.
I have another question.
Okay.
Sorry. At the end of that paragraph, it says, and shall be filled in the same manner as original appointments. And I could not find a reference to what is the original
The
appointment.
original appointments meeting, how it's described earlier in that same paragraph, where that the board would
Make the appointment.
make the appointments and that they'd have to be staggered.
Okay, gotcha. That's all I was trying to work out there.
No, if there were a reference to another location, it would read in there where the location was.
Gotcha.
So those are the 3 changes that we are now installing into the ordinance that we are advertising. That we are
Correct.
advertising time. So we have a motion and a second to authorize the advertisement with those amendments that we've discussed. Any further discussion?
Hold on.
What do you want now, Hood?
We're so quiet.
because this 102 is very,
He's rereading it to make sure he,
it never actually says that we're appointing
Yeah, I just,
the members anywhere.
yeah, it doesn't say the Board of Supervisors is appointing. It says
It never actually explicitly.
first appointed shall be appointed.
It
Um,
doesn't say it anywhere. That's what I'm trying to figure out if I'm missing it somewhere else in it.
I think so, it wasn't me.
Nope, it doesn't. Oops. All right, we will table this resolution for the night.
Say, Sean.
It doesn't say it. I mean,
I mean, you could just add.
I don't
you
know,
could just-
I don't know that it needs to say it. I mean, who else would make the appointment?
Well, they
but-
could argue that they could appoint their own members.
Yes,
So
Yes.
I think we just need to add a sentence at the beginning that says the Board of Supervisors of New Britain Township shall appoint the members of the Park and Recreation Board.
Or we could just put in 102, sir.
That's what I mean. That's, 102. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
that would be the first.
So
sentence.
I'll make that
members shall be appointed by the Board of Supervisors.
Or amending the motion to make that addition as well.
Oh, we just
Sorry,
clear
that's
up-
that's why I thought that's why I'm being so quiet down here. I thought I missed something.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Are those motions and seconds still in place? But now we have the additional.
Yeah, since we've been discussing the text of the amendments, or the ordinance itself still has to be considered by the board for approval after it's advertised.
Right.
All we're discussing now is what's gonna be advertised, so you're good as you are.
Okay.
All right, any further?
Nope, I'm done.
You're done. Any further down this side?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor of authorizing the advertisement of the ordinance, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Information items. Township managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this evening, I'd like to start by welcoming, as you've heard me before, welcoming Christine Nicholas. She's the township's new time events coordinator. And she is just beginning her third week of employment here at the township and is already jumped right in and has attended the Veterans Committee and the Parks and Rec Board meetings. She has already started planning several upcoming township events, including the annual Easter egg hunt, which if you haven't seen yet, snazzy little, I know I thought I printed it out color. It's a lot more festive if you print color. Mark your calendars, Saturday, March 25th, hopefully, if not rain date, April 1st. She's been working on organizing that event as well as the Veterans Committee bingo, Isn't Her bingo, which will be in April. And the American Red Cross blood drive. And the blood drive will take place on Monday, March 13th from 9:30 to 2:30. They're asking that you make a reservation. That would be the best way to come and give blood, donate blood. She's been already posting to the township's website and Facebook. And she has been taking the lead on preparing for the His and Her bingo by working towards obtaining a bingo license and small games of chance license.
I mean, yeah.
So that will be in place prior to His and Her bingo. Lastly, there's just a couple of things that I'd like to bring to the board's and public's attention. I received a letter from PICO this afternoon notifying the township that they're going to be investing more than $650,000 to enhance local electric infrastructure within the township. That means they're going to be using a lot of high-tech equipment, boring machines, new equipment. It's going to help improve reliability. And they also sent me the copy of the sample letter that they're going to be sending to all of the residents who will be affected as a result of this work. And it's along Schoolhouse Road, Chatham Court, Stafford Court, Boulder Drive, Windsor Court, Long Meadow Drive, Monarch Court, Hampton Court, Rock Court West, Pebble Court, and Rocky Court South.
How do you get Seabird?
Construction is set to begin
Curious timing.
in March, March is on Wednesday, which I'm having a hard time getting my head around. And it is expected to be taking, what was it? I think 6 months to do the work. By the end of July, less than 6 months.
Great.
The other thing is that we got notification from the sewer authorities, point person for their work for the sewer main replacement. And they will be closing Walters Road on March 1st and 2nd and 3rd throughout the day. Detours will be posted and we're going to be posting that to the township's website and social media as well. Also, Berry Road is a state road and they will be closing that because they'll be working on connecting the line that they installed on Railroad, making their way all the way down Berry to connect at New Galena. And that's going to be happening next Monday, and that should take about 4 weeks. So it's a public service announcement. Just watch out in that area when you're driving around, pay attention to the detour signs. And they will be working between 7 and 3 since it's state regulated job times. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We have the departmental reports that were handed out to all of us.
Yeah, the departmental reports were submitted as part of the meeting packet. And if I could just also include the Parks and Rec Committee report in that. Those reports were all included in this evening's packet.
Chief, do you have anything you want to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd just like to thank the board for the approval of the action items that impact the police department. They're much appreciated. And as an update for our new hire process, we completed our initial interviews. We've narrowed a list of candidates down to 7, and we're beginning background investigations on the top 3. Mr. West and I will meet with each of them prior to making a recommendation to the board.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the chief?
No.
Okay. Solicitors report.
I've submitted the written solicitor's report for your consideration, one matter for public discussion or comment. The solicitor's office will be examining and potentially revising the township's professional services agreement as it's used for the solicitor services and the engineer services for any potential applicants before the board. That will then integrate back into the fee schedule, which you approved, the amendment to the fee schedule, which you approved tonight. If any additional changes are required to that, that will be done by further resolution in the future.
Thank you. Engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have our February engineers report. Just a, I guess one highlight is in the report, but it's a big project. The High Point Land Development Project. I think I mentioned before, demolition has started. We will be issuing a very short review letter tomorrow. This is what a check set review. We've already approved the plans. So Janine's telling me the plans are ready to go for recording. A few minor tweaks, development agreements then will be next, and they indicate they'd like to start construction end of April. So they still need to get financing, but I'm kind of surprised they don't want to push us more, but I think demolition is going to get in the way because that's a very large demolition project. So site work will anticipated to start end of April, and you'll see those development agreements come through probably in March sometime. You'll also see, I'm not sure if they're coming into the next meeting or not, the Petrucci Land Development, which is over at the Corporate Center, they're coming. Yes. So we'll get to see revised plans, sketch plans, renderings. It's all been informal. They got feedback from you the last time. They did prepare some by right plans. We haven't done any formal reviews yet. They want to come and get the pulse of the board on the changes. I think collectively the staff like the changes. They heard your comments about the assisted living facility height of the building. The apartment buildings have layout has completely changed. Kind of fits more with the way the buildings are angled out there. The existing buildings create a courtyard. I think they dropped units as well. So overall, I think there's some nice improvements. There's still a lot of zoning to work through, zoning amendments to work through, but as far as some of the comments that you directed to the applicant, they did comply with those, and I think at some point we should do a formal kind of sketch plan zoning, and so I asked for a summary of all the zoning, but there's so many because it's going to be a zoning amendment. It won't be like they're not going to go for a variance. So I think Sean will need to guide you through that process, maybe at the end of that meeting, of what the next steps are. So, so we are making some progress. You'll see that. And then the smaller project that was approved back in September of 2021, the 7-lot subdivision, Lohan subdivision off of Township Line Road near Walters Road. DEP was holding up the planning module approval. Everything else has been done. We had a staff meeting last week or 2 weeks ago, and DEP just issued their approval. With that, I definitely stirred the pot a little bit about some planning issues, and Matt and I were asked by DEP to have another meeting, just I guess 2 of us staff, to discuss sewer planning in the area because they see these smaller projects, and I had a little bit of an issue with DEP approving force mains for small projects. So 7-lot subdivision of force main, 5 lots, another force main. Where's the regional planning? Where's the gravity lines, the sewer, and to service all the areas of the township, not just a few homes along the way. So I think I got their attention a little bit. You mentioned that at one of the staff meetings, Mr. Jones, to the sewer director, John Schmidt. So I kind of raised that issue to DEP. I think DEP's looks like this as well, and they're not looking to where they're concerned about a couple of the residents, but they weren't concerned about other properties that weren't force mains. And as you know, force mains hard to connect to. It's not impossible, but so that I actually think it was a good dialogue. I think the authorities are coming in at the next meeting. Yep. I was hoping to actually push the DEP meeting back so we could hear what was said. So I think that was positive.
This is the project where they were going to hook in with Hilltown?
Yes, yes,
Is that still what they're doing?
yes,
Okay,
yes. That's all the other properties were removed, that weren't part of the application. That was the condition. of
It was
approval.
back and forth, and then there
Back
was
and forth.
problems and.
The sewer authority, Mr. Schmidt did not agree, wrote a
Yes.
long letter to everybody, which we, especially Matt, took, and I agree with, took opposition to. So that was why I brought up some of the issues that, although we try to work with the authority, DEP looks at the bigger picture through the Act 537 plan. And I think sometimes they neglect their responsibilities by not looking at regional planning and looking at project by project. We have a lot of small projects in this township. We don't have large 300 lot subdivisions when running sewer for miles. It's very expensive. The developer did acknowledge to me and the attorney prior to the meeting that they were trying to recoup costs by connecting more properties. And I knew that already, so that's usually what is done. And Mr. Jones brought this up about why isn't the authority spending some money to run gravity so other people can connect in the future? And just get the planning discussion dialogue more than anything, but that project did not go well. I think it took way too long. I think everybody had some, play in that process, and it didn't go well. So Matt and I will probably have a discussion with them later on, and I think that's a healthy dialogue to have with the state, since they're the ones that approve your sewer planning ultimately.
So I have a question about the whole sewer project. Somebody had brought it up to me saying, well, I see the sewer projects coming out in front of me. Are they going to come to me and force me to join the sewer mains, or are they going to give me the option to join the sewer mains? So you're saying with the forced mains that there is very little chance that they would be asked if they'd like to join?
Well, that's a separate question. Can they, and are they going to be asked? I don't know the process of how. I've been here 25 years and I still don't know that answer.
Okay,
Because to be honest with you, the other project, Railroad Avenue, 98
Yeah.
Railroad.
Yep.
I'm the one that told the attorney and the developer that there's a project nearby. So the property owner was not notified.
yeah. Well, a resident has seen it being built out the front,
Sure.
and there's
There's
no communication
water.
sort of thing.
I think that's why you're gonna have discussions with the authorities coming up.
Okay,
I'm confused of why notifications are sent out early in the process, so they can do the planning and design,
Mhm.
and then one last chance, someone didn't see the letter.
Mhm. Okay.
I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying they're not going, I'm saying, I'm not sure we see that.
Yeah.
I know I don't, and I don't think I need to it. At a minimum, the board, and township staff or manager should see that.
Board of Supervisors comments.
Which side you going with?
You've had your turn.
I have none at this time.
I just want to mention, the use of our ARPA funds for a lot of the, improvements that are being done, both township building and to the police department. And I would also like to remind my fellow supervisors, some of whom were not here when I brought this up before, that I had suggested that a, one-time charitable donation, to a local food bank would be appropriate, especially since the purpose of the ARPA funds was to reimburse nonprofits for additional costs that they incurred during COVID, although it's since turned into a do whatever you want with the money. And I would still like to have a discussion, perhaps on another agenda and another meeting, of making a donation to the New Britain Baptist Food Lauder, with a rather large amount of money that we have fortuitously received through ARPA funds. Because it is the charitable thing to do.
Thank you. Mr. Hood?
Oh, Steph can go first.
Oh, I don't have any comments.
Mr.
Go
Hood?
ahead.
So bored. Are you all ready to have a brief discussion about the 300th committee?
Yes.
Is that tonight or somewhere like?
Well, we need to give them an answer. I wasn't able to attend the last meeting. Mary Beth did. And Scott Fisher, who's in the attendance this evening, is on the board. They are full of energy, full of vigor, and have a lot of ideas, and they are running with this with a lot of energy, which I am happy to see. They are hopefully going to figure out a way to pay for everything. We're hoping, we're going to see what happens. But the reason I bring them up specifically this evening is they really want to completely redo our fall festival and include a fireworks show at the conclusion of it that evening. And we as a board are going to have to make a decision as to whether or not we support that, probably within the next 2 weeks, because they've already applied for permits from Randy and handed stuff into staff in terms of trying to get this off the ground. So, but they are aware that the supervisors in the end will have to either approve or deny having a fireworks show here at North Branch Park on the evening of the fall festival. So I
So
bring it up because
I will add on to that comment. I have the fortune to be on both the 300 committee and the Veterans Committee, although I'm not a voting member. And although I would support doing fireworks as part of our 300th celebration, I can say there's a little bit of pushback from certain members of the Veterans Committee about revamping the 300 Fall Festival and doing it on that particular night. So I believe we have a meeting in a week or two with the 300th committee. And I'm going to perhaps suggest that the fireworks be a separate event. Because there may be a lot of problems with the vendors we hire to appear at the Fall Festival. Usually come from the 10 to 2 p.m. range. They may not be willing or able to shift to be there from 4 to 8 or whatever is being proposed. So I can preliminarily say I'm in favor of fireworks. I don't know if it's going to work out on the Fall Festival. And I think we should invite the chairman of the Veterans Committee to attend our meeting for the 300th committee to state his position on trying to revamp Fall Festival to accommodate fireworks.
Are you saying that you want the vendors to stay here?
Well, we
the
can't
fireworks?
have it from 10 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. at night.
it's going to
Really?
cost too much staff. And
No, I know that.
yeah.
We've done this before where we've had a parade. Then everybody gets to go home for a couple hours and then they come back and do the fireworks.
Remobilize, yeah.
And I mean, we did that a couple of years here, but I mean, many years, of course, up the shrine. And I mean, if the Fall Festival is going to be over at 2 or 3 and you're not going to do the fireworks until 7 or 8, you know, really the only people that have to be here after they close down the Fall Festival are the people who are setting up and doing all the safety precautions for the fireworks.
And
So-
people to park cars.
Yeah,
and-
so-
Yeah, but you're not gonna let the people in the park until, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever the case may be.
I don't know that people are going to even be able to be in so the circle of, it's complicated, but so the reason why, Mary Beth and I were pushing them to try to incorporate both events is because the fireworks by themselves are going to cost probably close to $5,000.
At least. Yeah.
And that is not going to include making sure that the proper emergency personnel are,
Mhm.
if they're going to donate their time or if we're going to have to pay for it. And if we're going to have staff here and then send them home, and then staff and Public Works needs to come back out to help facilitate setting up for the fireworks. We're now doing, the cost is, we originally budgeted $10,000 for this whole 300th celebration. Was it 20,000? 20,000, sorry, 20,000. So,
And I hear it and, Staff wants to be supportive of what the 300th committee wants to do, the tricentennial committee. I would like to see more logistics, and logistics kind of person. How many people do you need for the events? And really have an emphasis on volunteers.
We're
And to
not-
start minimizing.
We have propounded volunteers, but we're not quite ready to do logistics yet because these questions are still have to be decided.
Right, so the big question is as a board, are we okay with them entertaining the idea of fireworks? Like, we're not gonna nix it at the 23rd hour. If they're going to go down that road, we need to support it now, not in April or May.
And since we are meeting again next week, literally in a week, can we have some time to wrap our heads around about the concept of what that could mean, the timing? I just looked it up. Sunset is at 7 o'clock on the 23rd of September. So could you turn the event into a 4 to 8 PM? Because normally.
That's what we were
fireworks-
trying to do with the fall
But
festival.
we don't know
Yeah.
if the petting zoo can be there or the phone people can
Yes.
be
I'm
there.
sure you would want the petting zoo there with fireworks.
Yeah, well, I mean, they would leave before we start,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they're booked for, 10 AM to 2 PM.
Yes.
And at this point, they may not be able to shift their time frame
Mhm.
to, from 2 to 6.
Mhm.
I like-
And
I'm
I'll just say, I apologize in advance to all the dog owners. I too own dogs. One who would sit there while you set them off and not even notice, and one who would
Probably
be,
goes, try to go through the windows.
yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people, there's veterans, there's other people. But a lot of people do enjoy them, and this is a one-time controlled event. It's not every weekend night, someone setting off M80s or dynamite north of Ferry Road here, so, I think it's a benefit to the community.
when's the committee meeting again, Scott?
The 8th.
Wednesday, the 8th.
So next week, so yeah, so then we should definitely have an answer for them by Monday. So that Mary Beth and I can take that to them on the 8th and say,
And I believe.
Yeah, your name.
Water has submitted things.
Yes, he has already.
Group email.
yep,
Well, could we have that information about, if you want to do it here at this park, how much perimeter do we need? Where
It-
could we put the fireworks and where could we put the
We
people?
asked them to do that, they did do that.
yeah,
It-
Mike has all that.
It
so
was
Mike-
submitted,
Processing other information, I believe. I think Mike was out today.
I have it in an email, my emails have, some of them come through by themselves, and some of them come through bundled.
Yeah.
Under the new website. The new domain that we're gonna use. It wasn't until Mike told me he had sent it to me that I looked through those weird emails I got
Yes.
this weekend with 16 attachments. They turned out to be my
Email.
forwarded emails. So I did get it, and they're looking at doing it at the far end of the park,
Like on
uh,
the soccer field?
not here, down at the
Yeah,
other
the
end,
soccer field, the very far
Yes.
soccer field.
and
and then
baseball field.
People could enter from here and park down this end and still see them.
Right, sit out on this
Okay.
lawn or use that.
Unluckily, it'll have to depend on wind direction.
Mhm.
That's what we found when we did it here. We thought we were gonna do it there, but we had to move it up closer to where the pavilion was.
To
'cause of
stay
the
away from
direction.
homes and stuff.
But that's, I mean,
Yeah, they're
Not
talking
before-
about setting it up down near Field 5.
And weather conditions, if we continue with the drought conditions we've had or anything like we had last summer, there won't be any fireworks being set off, I gather.
or the possibility that you get the shop on fire coming down here with a pump truck and they just spray the whole trees and everything beforehand. Using the water coming out of the chimney to pump, it. But
Yes.
the other thing, I don't want to, delay this. Has anybody talked to the shrine?
I thought they kicked us out many years ago.
No, they didn't kick us out. We decided not to do it because it became too costly for us because we were getting no cooperation from any of the other municipalities. It was our police department. We got some volunteers from the fire police. But I mean, it became a regional fireworks event.
Mm.
And yet, we weren't getting any help from Plumstead, Goldstown.
Well, see, again, we were attempting to reduce costs by combining events. If we're going to, if as Mary Beth says, we're gonna have to separate the two, then the shrine may be an option if somebody can approach them. But-
And these are just ideas I have. I'm not making decisions for
Yeah,
either committee. I just
but
think.
but
that
again,
they're-
just the concept of the fireworks and whatever may go into it, at some point, we really need to let them know whether we support it or not.
Well, we can make that decision at next week's work session after
Yeah.
we've mulled it over.
Yeah.
But I mean, my initial is, yes, I'd like to see fireworks.
Agreed.
So,
It's just to wrap the, to
Where and
think about
when.
all. Separate, not separate, how you could do it. Yeah.
What else do we have?
That was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Oh, you
Is it
sure?
all-
Yes, I'm sure.
Did you?
I had to-
Okay, I didn't know if you had any comments.
I think
Okay.
yes.
Public comment. Is there any public comment?
Anybody online?
One person online.
No
No
hands.
hands.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Okay. The announcements?
I have nothing. Thanks.
I'll just make the announcement. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors, New Britain Township will take place on Monday, March 6th at 10 a.m. at the New Britain Township Building. The agenda and meeting materials are posted on the township website for the meeting date. Give our website address. So if there's nothing else to come before the board, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
no discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to go into executive session again at the end? Was there anything else on the agenda?
I don't think so.
I guess question for you, Matt.
It was just,
We can just go over Gilmore next week.
you already have what
Okay.
I provided the update for Gilmore in last week's operation report. There's no-
Okay.
All right.